Let's say that I don't. Look, I just headshot him first shot. Good example. Here's why you're probably aiming the wrong way. For the longest time as a beginner, I was playing this game the absolute wrong way. And I'm gonna say some controversial things in this video, despite what other YouTubers have said, that I believe is gonna make you a better shooter in this game. So let me teach you how to do that. If you stick to the end, I'll teach you some pro tips as to how to survive more using these aiming techniques, and some of them I haven't seen a single YouTuber or Tabor YouTuber use. Right here, we're on island, obviously. We're gonna talk about VR stock, whether you're using a physical or virtual, and how it impacts your aim. I think virtual gun stock is shit. And the only time that it's worth using is if you're shooting long distance or maybe using a short weapon. For example, like the P90 or the MP7. And I'll explain why in a little bit. But let's take this for example. So right now I play with the Gunstock off. It's a little shaky, right? Yeah, it's not perfect, but I'm able to dial in and kill people as much as I need to without that virtual Gunstock. Also, I can manipulate the gun a lot more freely. And in real life, yeah, a Gunstock or like that simulation is how we aim in real life. Like this is how we aim in real life. But in VR, it's different. This is a video game. It's not real life. It's pretty close. But look, if there's somebody right there or somebody right there, this is how we do it in real life, right? But in this game, we can just go boop, 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 boop. And so aiming with hip firing and ADS, it's a lot easier in the game. In hip firing, you can manipulate this. So if you're running around a corner and there's somebody there, look, boom. I don't have to turn my whole body and shoot. I can just be boom. And I can manipulate that gun a lot easier. So let's see what it looks like with the virtual Gunstock on. All right, so with virtual Gunstock on, look, this is the same movement I was doing earlier, trying to rotate the gun. Now I can still rotate it, but look how much more difficult it is to manipulate this gun. If I had to kill somebody real quick, I'd have to almost turn my body with it instead of just being able to go whoop, you know, just like that. I have to actually physically turn the gun instead of just moving my left hand. And so that's been my secret, because if you watch my videos, you know I play pretty aggressive. So if you want to survive more PvP encounters, you know, you can take my word with a grain of salt. But here's how I aim, using aiming down the sights, or I'm hip firing no matter what I'm doing. And just to show you how stable it is long distance, and that's why I would use it if I was just sniping or something like that. But because I'm constantly in and out at close quarter combats, it doesn't make sense to keep this on all the time. But you can steady it a whole lot more. Like, look, I'm on that brake light. Now look at it without the virtual Gunstock. I can still hold that pretty good. It's not as good, maybe 10% worse, but look, I can manipulate this all I want. And that's actually how I aim. So I take the right hand, or the hand that you grip the gun in, and I keep it close to my chest, right? Almost like in real life where you're keeping the buttstock against your shoulder. And the only thing I move when I aim is my left hand, right? So if I have to move it up to my eye, I can do that with my right hand, but I'm not moving my right hand like this. I'm simply keeping it plugged in place, and then I'm just raising that left hand. Look, raising the left hand, moving the left hand, keeping the right hand still. So that's the benefits of using a virtual Gunstock, and the disadvantage of using a virtual Gunstock. You cannot manipulate that gun as easily, and I like to be able to move free, because in close quarters combat, I'm constantly, you know, if somebody's right there, look, I can get there very quickly. I don't have to turn in real life. So that's why I think virtual Gunstock is a no-go unless you're explicitly in the raid to snipe people. And in that case, I would keep a SMG or something like that in your backpack. So let's talk about, oh shit. Let's talk about when to hip fire versus when to ADS. You want to quit it? If somebody's beyond, let's say 10 to 15 meters, we were going to want to ADS. Also, if we're rotating corners like this, it's a good time to ADS because you can pinpoint that agent. But if you're just running around willy-nilly and somebody's running up to you, you're going to want to pull that up and just hip fire. And if you want to get practice on what that feels like or where you're aiming, you can do so by using a laser. Right now, a laser is 100% accurate to where you're aiming. Some games like Escape from Tarkov, it's not exact. It's not quite exact here, close quarters, but long range it is, from what I've found. So you could almost use this right there as an AI. Look, I'm aiming down sights, but I could also hip fire if I have the laser because it's so accurate. So see, it's that simple.
It's free real estate.
So the laser is a really good way to practice this, and especially in silo, you can run around and boom, you don't even need a sight. You can just use a laser. So if you want to practice in your hideout or you want to practice here, what that feels like, look, that's what it looks like for me to hip fire that brake light. So if I want to practice that a couple times, then turn the laser off. See, I'm pretty close. Obviously, we're not going to be hip firing that far away, but if you can hit that consistently, just practicing and using that first bullet as a measure of where to shoot, you can get pretty close. So let's go close quarters real quick and I'll show you when to ADS. So right here, actually, this is a good example where that body's at. If it's any farther than that, I would not recommend hip firing. That's when I would ADS. And if that sight ever pops up in your view, you can just reset it by putting it on and off. If I'm coming around here, I'm not aiming, boom, hip fire, right? But if they're far away, that's when you're gonna wanna kinda use the ADS feature. And that's where, if I'm scanning this hill, I'm just moving my left hand. I'm not moving my right hand right now, but look how close I can hug that hill line if somebody pops up. Another tip I have is if you're hip firing, what I would recommend is to point the barrel of the gun using your left hand. Again, I'm keeping my right hand still, but point the barrel of that gun where you think the bullet's gonna go.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And it sounds crazy, but it's exactly what happens whenever I go to hip fire. I just point my barrel where I think it's gonna go, and it's almost on dead point. So let's go in here and I'll show you real quick as we kill this AI. See, look, that's a much faster shot than me trying to go like this, right? You can do that, but why not shoot and then off that first bullet, adjust on the fly? Look, okay. And now I can center myself. You're gonna use a little bit more ammo, but look, I take like a bunch of ammo with me. So I highly recommend, if you don't have the vest to do it, you take a ton of mags in your backpack because that's how you survive more.
A few moments later.
Same thing there, but I ran out of bullets. So let's try that again. So right there, I have the advantage because he hasn't come down yet, so I can ADS, but let's say that I don't. Look, I just headshot him first shot. That's a good example. If you have the drop on somebody, obviously ADS is going to be a lot better because you're already on point. But if you get surprised like that where you walk in, you don't know they're there, then you can just be like, and shoot as you need to. You're going to survive a lot more raids that way. Again, you're going to need to bring more ammo, but you should be bringing more ammo in general anyways, because the person who has the most meds and the most ammo is going to be able to have the most control and the most power in the firefight. Because look, I can just hold this angle all day because I got 20 mags in my backpack, right? But the person who's got 1 to 2 mags, they're shooting, popping shots. We're kind of baiting them, right? That's a pro tip right there. You're baiting them to shoot. Maybe you're doing one of these. You know that either they're going to have to reload soon or they're going to run out of ammo, and then it's easy pickings. So let's talk about the Gunstock and how it affects different length of guns. So this is a SCAR. It's a pretty much medium length gun. The benefit of these types of guns with the rails is you can actually add a grip, and the grip, you can differ where your grip point is based off of what your natural tendency is. So for me, it's a little bit kind of from the midpoint to close is like how I like to have it. And that's just my natural distance between my two hands. But if you're somebody who likes it really far, you can have it way out there. For me, I feel like I have to extend and I have less control. So I like to be a little bit closer in, but not too close like with the P90. You know, I absolutely despise using SMGs in this game just because it's not really ideal. Like right now, my hands are very close together, right? The hip firing with every gun is gonna be a little bit different off the rip because when you go to grab them, look, it pulls it down. But in my opinion, I've seen the advice on that and why it's important. I don't think it's important because you should always have your hand on both hands on the gun anyways, because you need to be ready to fire. The only time you're not is when you're looting, right? That's the only time you shouldn't have 2 hands on the gun. So in my opinion, always have 2 hands on the gun, especially close quarters like this, because you need to be ready to go at any moment. So let's just show you the MP7. MP7's a little bit better, but still, it's just, you know, I don't really like how the buttstock doesn't really play a factor. And that's why if you're running SMGs, it may be better to use the virtual gunstock because it lengthens where the feel is for you. So like right there, you know, It doesn't change it much, but you know, it's a little bit better. Virtual Gunstock off. 100% if you want to kill Chads, Virtual Gunstock off. You can manipulate the barrel of the gun a lot more freely, and you can hip fire a lot more accurate, as well as ADS, and you have a little bit more control. Again, if you're just doing long range, use the Virtual Gunstock. So one last thing, again, I already mentioned it, but just to show you a live example of it, is if you're clearing corners, let's remove that sight again, that's pretty annoying. Like if you're pushing corners like this and you're moving slow, you're able to clear the entire area. But if you get yourself caught, you think the area's clear and it's not, and you come out here, this is where you're gonna wanna hip fire. So look, that door right there is, so if that far door is the enemy, here's what I'm gonna do. And if I get caught out in the open and I can't have time to aim, look. They're dead. And that guy's probably gonna try to ADS real quick. He's gonna be like, oh, I can't find my sight, especially if he's got iron sights. Look, he's screwed trying to line this up. Iron sights are so difficult compared to a scope. And most people, they run low tier gear. So at the very minimum, you should have some kind of scope or a laser, because the laser is going to help you with hip firing as well as aim if you need to. But the sight's going to help you for these little distances. But look how much control I have moving door to door, ADSing. Boom, 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 boom. I can manipulate between the two very quickly. All right, so using those tips, you're gonna be able to survive a lot more raids. You're gonna know when to hip fire, when to aim down sights, when to use Virtual Gunstock, when not to use it, if at all. I never use Virtual Gunstock once again, but as promised, I'm gonna show you some pro tips on some tactics you can use in order to survive more fights and just outplay your opponent. So let's say right here, for example, right? You get caught out in the open and maybe there's a team of 2, 3, 4. Well, there can't be a team of 4, but there's a team of 3 people, right? Or maybe they did find a straggler and they teamed up. And you get caught out in the open like this, where you're in between areas where you can hide. You need to get the cover quick in a position where you can hold them off, but you also need to suppress them. So this is something I use in Tarkov a lot, and the only person I've ever seen use it and I actually kind of got the idea from was Landmark. So if you know who he is, he's probably one of the best Tarkov players, and I put this into play in the VR space. So what he would do is if he got caught out in the open like this and a team's right there, and you know they're going to have more firepower because they have more ammo and they have more people. So what are you going to do? What you're going to do is if you get caught out, you see him pull out, look, you're just gonna go. You're just gonna go fire a couple shots, get him to run back into the doorway. And then from there, what you can do is continue to shoot little shots to suppress them as you move into cover. And as you get back in the cover, you can reset, reload, whatever you need to do in order to get ready again to peek this or to move to the next spot. Again, if you need to move, because look, we're at a dead end. If you need to move from here to there, you want to make sure you got a full mag for this. Again, you're going to use more ammo. So you're going to pull back, hold that angle, and then move in the cover. So now you got more space to work with, right? More cover. You can pop out here, pop a couple shots, and you're good to go. Pro tip number 2. So magazines, regular Stanags like this are really good for PvP because you can tactical reload very quickly and you're ready to go. Stanags are good because they have a lot of ammo, but if you need to adjust or reload on the fly, I highly recommend you keep an empty pouch at all times because you cannot tactical reload this. So you have to pull the mag, put it into the slot, put a new mag in. And if you have multiple, you always want to keep one slot open so that way you can drop that Stanag or that 60 round drum into one of those slots. And so for my third tip, I would shoot the cat in the face. Just kidding, but seriously. But for my third pro tip, what I would do is I would practice clearing corners, especially if you're solo, taking your time ADSing, adjusting if you need to, if they're crouched, whatever. And then also practicing if you're just getting caught off guard, you move real quick, right? You just practice, and you can use your laser for this. So pick a spot on the wall maybe and have that as your aim point. Let's say a lot of people like to camp around the corners like this. You get caught off guard, boom, he's dead. Boom, he's dead. So there's a lot of campers in this game, right? There's 2 different play styles. You have the people who play like I do. They go around destroying everything they see, occasionally getting caught off guard, getting killed. Or you have the people who just sit there like this. and they're just waiting for the juicy Chad to come around the corner and they're gonna kill him, right? But no, that's not right, because typically the juicy Chads like us, we have big armor, big guns, and so their tiny little bullets and penis will not kill us. And so what we'll do is we'll just go, and they're dead. In my opinion, this is the best way to aim in Tabor. This is how you're gonna survive more raids. This is how you're gonna decide which route you're gonna take, how you're gonna take that route, as well as when to ADS and hip fire. Different length guns play different grip points, whatever your comfortable level is. So like this is pretty far for me again. I like to have a comfortable grip length like this. And so I guess my fourth pro tip would be find a gun that you're comfortable with and consistent with. Something that you can reload easily, and something that's the ammo is found pretty commonly. Like this Stanag's found almost every raid that you go into, so you can find extra ammo if you need to. Find a gun that you can get consistent and comfortable with. Don't worry about being the coolest or the juiciest Chad with the AK Alpha. In my opinion, the AK Alpha is not the best gun.
What did he say?
But that's beside the point. Find a gun that you can get consistent and comfortable with, and that's going to be the gun that helps you throughout the raids, especially as a beginner. So all my beginners out there, this video is for you. Even the intermediate to the advanced people, you're going to pick up a few tips from this as well. If there's anything that you want to see me make a video on, please comment down below, as well as any of the tips that you found most helpful. Please be sure to subscribe. Thank you all for watching, and also check out my How to Get Max Spectre video, because it's super important to do that so you can get the better guns and attachments and you can destroy people. I'll put that in the link description below. Thanks so much.